Hello, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today I'm in my hatch room. I'm at my mid-season point, and I have a very special project coming up, and so it was time to scrub, clean, sanitize, and prepare. So let me tell you what I'm working on, and some details on this incubator, and the tools I use to clean it, and stuff like that. So this is a Sportsman 1500, and I opted to do the 1500 instead of the 1505, I think it's called, because this one is designed to incubate only. It does not have the extra hatch space on the bottom. And the reason I'm having to clean it out so much is because once or twice I didn't put the dates right in my little phone calendar, and some hatched in here. So I made a mess on the bottom that I was not prepared for, but that's alright. So I also have the 1550 hatcher over there. That is the dedicated hatcher. And the reason why I try to do the first 18 days of incubation in this unit is to keep that mess away from the other eggs in incubation. Because with this model, you can stagger to your heart's content. You can run 6 different batches in here and stagger them into that hatcher without having to stop and clean it. Unless you have a whoopsie hatch. So because I did have the whoopsie hatches, that means that little dust explosion got all into the guts of it. And so I pulled off the back to get in here and clean that up. So the main thing to pay attention to, see that little thing right there? That's the temperature sensor. And if it gets covered in dust, your temperature is going to be inaccurate. And that's not cool. So keep that clean, keep it open, keep it accurate. I used a can of air to get into the stuff that's a little more tricky to reach. Like inside that motor for the turner, the fans and stuff. Some people will clean them from the top. I like to clean from the back, sometimes the top as well, depending on how filthy it got, depending on how long I ran it without attention. Now this particular incubator, I've had it since, I don't know, 2019? Something like that. And I like the durable construction of it. A lot of my peers are into the hatching time, and that's cool. But it's an awful lot of plastic. And I'm waiting on their 5-year updates before I change what I'm doing. Because I haven't had to get replacement parts or do anything other than routine cleaning on these Sportsmen. So I'll stick with them until I have a need to replace. Now, airflow, humidity levels, overall consistency, that all matters a lot with your incubation. The more dialed in it is, the better results you're going to get. Now, I have 36 eggs here, fresh from Mark Dixon in New Hampshire. He raises white Chantecler, or Chantecler, however you want to say that breed name. Don't give me grief for how I pronounce it. I'm from Ohio, and I'm only 12.5% French Canadian. And I'm not sure if it's Chantecler, whichever. I have these eggs, and we're going to set them, because they are a winter hardy dual-purpose breed. At least they should be. And Mark Dixon, he got them for that very purpose. And he's been raising them for 10 years. He got them from a very seasoned breeder in Vermont who has since retired. But that breeder spent time mentoring Mark and got him on his way with them. Now it's my turn to see what I can do with them. And my hope here with these eggs is, number 1, pretty decent hatch rate. We'll find out. Number 2, run a pure line of them for my own needs and to complement what I'm working on in the American breasts. Now I have my little hybrid project, and to do a hybrid properly, you have to run both types pure so that you have ingredients you can go back into if you need to. Just running with the hybrid project on their own, if you run into a corner, what are you going to do? So on the side, I'm going to have pure white Chantecler going as well, and I'm gonna apply my methods and my selection criteria and all that stuff right along with the birds that these eggs hopefully produce. Now, I repackaged the eggs in the house so that I could carry them over here safely. And look at them. Nice shape, nice size. These'll do. The boxes that they were shipped in implied they survived just fine. I haven't candled them yet. I'm going to do that next. And I'm going to show you if I see any issues with how the air cells arrived. But I'm going to need a dark room for that. Plus I need to get into it and do it. So I'll share that after I do it here in a second. This is the candler that I use. It's a plug-in style, so I never have to worry about batteries. And I hung up a power strip for all this to keep it convenient and easy. This candler does a great job. It has a little rubber tip on here to seal against that egg, so I can really get a good idea of what's happening inside. So next I'm going to candle these and check the integrity of the shell and the air cell, and based on what I find, that's what I'm going to be able to tell you about. If there's not a problem in here to show you, it's good for me and unfortunate for the educational side. If there is a problem, I'm going to point it out and tell you about it and let you know the ways to help mitigate the issues and still, hopefully, get a pretty good hatch rate from shipped eggs. It's a little complicated and there's a lot of variables involved. You can do only so much on your end. So it's important not to beat yourself up over shipped egg results because the postal handling, it is what it is. So I'm going to turn the lights out and get going, figure out what I get to show you today. Alright, well the good news is there's no cracks, no breakage. So that's cool. Candling will also show if there's hairline fractures. These survive totally intact, except for the air cells. There was a couple that were saddled and a whole bunch of them were loose at the top, and that means they were subject to a whole bunch of vibration on the journey, and it loosened the membrane. And I'm wondering if that's even gonna show. But basically, that little air cell up on the top, it moves around more so than a home egg would. So I'm absolutely going to incubate these upright because turning them on their side for incubation might make that air cell move. So in this situation, upright incubation is going to be way more beneficial than laying them on their side. My incubator is designed for upright usage, which is cool for these situations. And if you have an incubator that's designed for laying them on their side, this is where maybe you should consider a different incubator that holds them upright for the duration of incubation to avoid those pitfalls. Potentially even setting them up in a styrofoam egg carton to put them in that position if your incubator doesn't have the tray for that. But anyways, these look great, except for that looseness up top of that little bubble moving around. But thankfully these eggs are all fresh, so it's not as bad as it could have been if the eggs were older. So I'm still hopeful. Day 7 candling will let me know viability. Now, sometimes people say not to turn them the first couple of days. I'm not convinced that that matters based on historical methodology. So I am setting some of my breast eggs with this group in case this is a low hatch rate. They still have plenty of friends. Plus that side-by-side grow experience of comparing one to another and type against type and all that stuff, because mine are decidedly utility bred. And it's been several years since I've worked with a different type, and I need that reminder, that refresher. Plus, I love a new project, especially if it's purebred and I might be able to show it. Potentially show quality in here. We'll find out. First I have to grow them and see. Alright. I'm going to wait for the incubator to finish drying for its sanitization and go over the other tools I didn't show you that I use for cleaning. all the little corners and crevices of this thing. So back at it. So in addition to that can of air, I have a flathead screwdriver to get the back of the incubator off. I have a toothbrush, because that is most excellent for nooks and crannies and that little seam along these brackets. That toothbrush will get in there and clean all that out. It'll get in here and clean all that out. All the tight places. I prefer a nice old-fashioned toothbrush, plus a scrubber if it got especially gross. And this is a bleach solution with water to sanitize everything as I go. So right now it's drying, then I'll put everything back together, then I'll turn it on, and once the optimal temperature is achieved, the eggs will go in. So next, I need to figure out which of my 2 setting trays are the best size for the eggs that I have, and prep them while this thing dries out and gets warm. So moving on to that part. Alright, we're all cleaned up, we're all plugged in, we're fired up, and waiting on temperature to reach the temperature it needs to be at. And this particular incubator in these particular settings with my hatch results as the guide, I'm looking for 100 degrees flat. Maybe 100.01. Close enough. Now, all the eggs fit in the yellow trays, but I had the green tray on standby in case any were too big for the yellow trays. So we have my American breasts versus the new Chantecler? Chantecler. I don't know. Everybody fit in a yellow tray, and I didn't have to use the green tray. The green tray is reserved for extra large or bigger, think turkey eggs. Because I had extra room in here, I spaced out the bigger eggs so that they get a good grip without being intrusive to the neighboring eggs. So now it's just a waiting game on this thing to get going. I'll update again in 7 days with the candling results of viability, and until then, fingers crossed. So feel free to like and subscribe as I head into this new adventure with a whole new breed that I can do my thing with. We'll see how it goes. Give me like, I don't know, 5 years to get them to where I hope for them to be, which hinges on where they already are and the selection I have available pending what hatches and how they grow and how they perform and what they show me. Because at the end of the day, everything about my program, the birds tell me what's possible. I just follow behind them, do my selections, do my chores, and go through the motions while thinking about it constructively. Alright, more on this later.